According to behavior analysts, behavioral variability, A, is intrinsic to the organism and can be statistically controlled. B is extrinsic to the organism and can be statistically controlled. C is intrinsic to the organism and can be controlled through replication in experimental design. Or D is extrinsic to the organism and can be controlled through replication in experimental design. D is the correct answer, and it's behavioral variability is extrinsic to the organism and can be controlled through replication in experimental design. When we're looking at what this question is asking us, the first part's really important, which is according to behavior analysts. If they said according to clinical psychologists, this might be different. If they said according to sociologists, this would very likely be different. But they're saying according to behavior analysts. So they're not asking us what do all soft sciences or what do all sciences in specific helping professions think about behavioral variability. They're speaking specific to behavior analysts. So this changes my answer. So whereas other helping professionals would say that behavior is intrinsic to the organism. So it's concerned with variables that are happening internal to the organism and that they can be statistically controlled. That's probably true. A would be true if we were talking about other social scientists or other people in helping fields. But because it said, according to behavior analysts, we can eliminate anything that says is intrinsic because behavior analysts come from a place of assuming that behavior is typically extrinsic to the organism, which it has to do with the environment around the person. And so both A and C can be eliminated. And then this is a two-parter. So the second part is it statistically controlled or can it be controlled through replication in experimental design? Although it's not to say that I don't believe that, yes, it can be statistically controlled. Once they ask what behavior analysts think, now we have to think what typically in behavior analytic design are we going to do? Is it going to be statistically controlled? So are we getting a huge portion of the population and that's how we're going to control for variability? Or is it going to be controlled by doing the same thing, applying the same variables over and over again to prove that it is our variable that's making the change and not just any other variable in the world? Okay, so let's look at these assumptions. So the assumption of intrinsic variability is that typically when we're talking about psychology and other social or behavior sciences, we say that behavior variability is an intrinsic characteristic of the organism and that it's distributed randomly among individuals in any given population. And then the methodological implications of that is that if we attempted to experiment again, we're talking about social and behavioral scientists here that aren't behavior analysts, attempting to experimentally control or investigate variability is a waste of time because instead we can just average the performance of individual subjects within larger groups. And then the random nature of variability can be statistically controlled or canceled out. But behavior analysts believe differently. We see behavioral variability as the result of an environmental influence. So again, something extrinsic to the person. And then the methodological implications are that experimental manipulations of factors suspected of causing variability can be done. And we search for causal factors. And then in practice, both in research and clinically, applied behavior analysts seek treatment variables robust enough to overcome variability. And we replicate that within experimental design to prove that it wasn't other confounding variables. This is me asking for reinforcement. Well, potential reinforcement.